Hey there, welcome back to the channel. You didn't reply, and now they're writing a whole story in their head. Picture this. It's been 3 weeks since the breakup. You're finally starting to feel like yourself again. Then your phone buzzes. It's them. Hey, I've been thinking about us. Can we talk? You stare at the message. Your thumb hovers over the keyboard. Part of you wants to respond immediately. Old habits die hard. But then you remember why things ended. You remember the drama, the manipulation, the way they made you feel small. So you do something different. You put your phone down and walk away. What happens next isn't just about one unanswered text. It's about a complete shift in power, a revelation of true character, and a lesson in human psychology that might surprise you. Today, we're diving deep into what actually happens when you stay silent after your ex texts you. We'll explore the mental chaos they create for themselves, how your silence reveals their real intentions, and why this simple act of not responding might be the most powerful thing you can do for your healing and your future. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That text from your ex, it's an outside event. How you respond or don't respond, that's where your power lives. Now, I want you to drop this affirmation in the comments. I control my responses, and my silence speaks louder than my words. If you've ever felt that familiar pull to respond to your ex immediately, if you've wondered what happens when you don't give them the reaction they're looking for, this video is going to change how you think about post-breakup communication forever. Number 1, the first hour reveals everything. Here's what most people don't realize about staying silent after your ex texts you. Their reaction in the first hour tells you everything you need to know about why the relationship ended in the first place. When you don't respond to that "Can we talk?" or "I miss you" text, something fascinating happens in their mind. The same patterns that caused problems in your relationship start playing out in real time, but now you're not there to manage their emotions or fix their insecurity. Within minutes, their brain goes into overdrive. Did they see it? Are they ignoring me on purpose? Are they with someone new? How can they just not respond? But here's the key difference. Some people will assume you're busy and respect your space. Others will immediately make it about themselves and their needs. The emotionally mature ex thinks, they're probably processing things. I'll give them space and see if they respond when they're ready. The toxic ex thinks, how dare they not respond to me immediately? Don't they know I'm hurting? I need to make them understand how this is affecting me. Epictetus taught us, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Your silence isn't creating their reaction, it's simply revealing who they really are when they can't control your behavior. Think about it this way. During your relationship, you probably responded to their texts quickly because you cared, because you wanted to avoid conflict, or because they made you feel guilty when you didn't. Your immediate responses were managing their emotional state. Now that you're not doing that emotional labor for them, they have to face their own insecurity and need for control without your help. For some people, this is unbearable. You'll know within the first hour whether your ex respected you as an individual during the relationship or saw you as someone whose job it was to make them feel better about themselves. The respectful ex will send one message and wait. The controlling ex will send multiple messages, each one more desperate or angry than the last. Your silence becomes a test. They either pass or fail, and their grade tells you everything about whether staying broken up was the right choice. Number 2, they create their own mental prison. When you don't respond to your ex's text, something wild happens. they become their own worst enemy. Without you there to calm their fears or explain your behavior, their mind creates stories that are usually far worse than reality. This is where your silence becomes incredibly powerful, not because you're trying to hurt them, but because you're no longer protecting them from their own thoughts. During the relationship, how many times did they accuse you of things you didn't do? How often did they create drama out of nothing? How frequently did you have to explain yourself just to keep the peace? Your silence forces them to sit alone with those same thought patterns. But now, there's no one to convince them they're wrong. They might think, they're definitely seeing someone new. They never cared about me at all. They're probably telling everyone how terrible I was. They're happier without me, and that proves I was right about being unlovable. Here's the thing, none of these thoughts are about you. They're about their relationship with themselves. But during your relationship, they made these thoughts your problem to solve. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "How much trouble those people avoid who don't look to see what their neighbor says or does." Your ex is doing the exact opposite. They're obsessing over your actions, your silence, your social media activity, your potential new relationships. Meanwhile, you're just living your life. This mental prison they create is the same one that existed during your relationship. The only difference is that you're not in there with them anymore, trying to convince them the bars aren't real. Remember all those times they got upset about something you didn't do? All those fights that started because they imagined a scenario and reacted to it as if it were true. Your silence is triggering those exact same patterns. But now, it's not your job to talk them down from their emotional ledge. It's not your responsibility to prove you're not doing whatever they've convinced themselves you're doing. Your silence teaches them something they never learned during the relationship: how to sit with their own emotions without making them someone else's emergency. Number 3, your silence reveals their true intentions. Want to know the real reason your ex is texting you? Don't listen to their words. Watch how they react when you don't respond, because your silence strips away all the pretty language and reveals what they actually want from you. When someone texts you, "I miss you," or "I've been thinking about us," it sounds romantic, right? It sounds like they genuinely care and want to reconnect. But your silence reveals the truth behind those words. If they truly missed you as a person, they would respect your need for space. They would understand that healing takes time and that you might not be ready to talk. If they genuinely cared about your well-being, they wouldn't push for a response when you're clearly not engaging. But watch what happens when you stay silent. The guilt trip. "I can't believe you won't even talk to me after everything we had." The manipulation. "I'm going through a really hard time and you're the only one who understands me." The anger. "Fine, ignore me. I guess I know who you really are now." The false concern. "I'm worried about you." This isn't like you to just not respond. None of these responses are about missing you or wanting what's best for you. They're about getting access to you again, getting back the emotional support you used to provide, or punishing you for having boundaries. Seneca observed, "Every new situation requires a new architecture of the self." Your silence creates a new situation where they can't rely on your immediate emotional availability. Their response to this new situation shows you their true architecture, who they really are when they can't get what they want from you. Here's what genuine care looks like after a breakup. "I know you need space and I respect that. I just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you and hope you're doing well. No need to respond." That's it. No pressure, no manipulation, no demands for your attention or explanation. Compare that to, "Why won't you just talk to me?" I know you saw my message. This is really hurting me, and I don't understand why you're being so cold. Same silence. Two completely different reactions. One shows respect for your autonomy. The other shows entitlement to your attention. Your silence becomes a filter that separates people who genuinely care about you from people who just want something from you. And after a breakup, this distinction is crucial for your healing and your future. Number 4, the power shift happens immediately. The moment you choose not to respond to your ex's text, something fundamental changes in the dynamic between you. For possibly the first time since the breakup, maybe the first time in your entire relationship, you're not reacting to their emotional state. During most relationships, there's an unspoken agreement about communication. When they text, you respond. When they're upset, you comfort them. When they need attention, you provide it. This creates a power imbalance where their emotional needs drive your behavior. Your silence breaks that pattern completely. Suddenly, they can't predict your behavior. They can't control your response. They can't make their emotional state your emergency. And for many people, this is deeply unsettling because they've gotten used to having that influence over you. Marcus Aurelius taught, "Confine yourself to the present." When you don't respond to their text, you're staying present in your own life instead of being pulled into their emotional drama. You're choosing your own priorities over their demands for attention. This shift in power isn't about revenge or playing games. It's about reclaiming your right to exist independently of their emotional needs. Think about how the relationship ended. Were you always the one trying to fix things? Were you constantly explaining yourself, defending your actions, or walking on eggshells to avoid their emotional reactions? Your silence reverses all of that. Now they're the ones wondering what you're thinking. They're the ones feeling uncertain and out of control. They're experiencing what you probably felt like throughout much of the relationship. But here's the beautiful part. You're not doing this to hurt them. You're doing it to protect yourself and maintain the boundaries that the breakup created. When they text you asking to talk, responding immediately sends the message that you're still available for their emotional needs. It suggests that the breakup didn't really change anything. They can still access you whenever they want, comfort, validation, or someone to process their feelings with. Your silence sends a different message. I'm not available for that kind of relationship with you anymore. I'm focused on my own healing and my own life. Some people will respect this boundary. Others will push harder, trying to regain the control they used to have over your attention and emotional energy. Their reaction tells you everything you need to know about whether they're someone worth considering for any kind of future relationship, romantic or otherwise. Number 5, protecting your mental space from their chaos. One of the most important things you can do after a breakup is protect your mental and emotional space while you heal. Responding immediately to your ex's texts does the opposite. It invites their emotional chaos back into your life just when you need peace the most. Here's what happens when you respond right away to that "Can we talk?" text. You're right back in their emotional world. You're thinking about their feelings, their needs, their perspective on the relationship. You're managing their emotions instead of processing your own. But your healing requires something different. It requires space from their influence, their version of events, their need for closure or comfort or validation. Your silence creates that space. Epictetus said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." Your ex is demonstrating their poverty of emotional self-sufficiency when they can't handle your silence, when they need your immediate response to feel okay. Meanwhile, your silence demonstrates your growing emotional wealth. your ability to be okay without their validation, without explaining yourself to them, without making their feelings your responsibility. Think about what you need right now for your healing. Time to remember who you are outside of that relationship. Space to process your own emotions without their influence. Freedom from having to explain or defend your choices. Peace from their drama and emotional ups and downs. Clarity about what you actually want, not what they want you to want. Every time you respond immediately to their texts, you're sacrificing all of these healing needs to manage their discomfort with your absence. Your silence protects. Your energy from being drained by their emotional needs. Your clarity from being clouded by their manipulation or guilt trips. Your progress from being interrupted by their attempts to pull you backward. Your peace from being disrupted by their chaos. Your future from being controlled by your past. But here's what's really beautiful about this. Your silence also gives them the opportunity to learn how to cope with their emotions independently. During the relationship, they probably relied on you to make them feel better when they were upset, insecure, or confused. Now they have to develop their own emotional regulation skills. They have to learn to sit with discomfort without immediately seeking relief from someone else. This is actually a gift, though they probably won't see it that way at first. The people who can handle this will become stronger and more self-sufficient. The people who can't will reveal that they were using the relationship as an emotional crutch rather than building a genuine partnership with you. Number 6. They'll show you who they really are. Your silence after their text is like holding up a mirror to their character. All the things they might have hidden or controlled during the relationship come pouring out when they can't get the response they want from you. This is when you see their true attachment style, their real level of respect for you, and their actual capacity for handling rejection or boundaries. The secure, emotionally healthy ex will accept your silence gracefully. They might be disappointed, but they won't make it into a crisis or take it as a personal attack. They understand that you have the right to choose not to engage, even if it's not what they hoped for. But the insecure, controlling ex will show you patterns you probably saw during the relationship, but maybe dismissed or tried to fix. They might start love bombing. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I can't live without you. Please, just give me one more chance. They might try guilt. After everything we shared, you can't even respond to one text. I thought you were a better person than this. They might get angry. Your silence says everything about who you really are. I'm glad I found out before I wasted any more time on you. They might play victim. I'm going through the hardest time of my life, and the one person I need won't even talk to me. They might use mutual friends. Suddenly, people in your circle are asking if you're okay because your ex is worried about you and thinks your behavior is concerning. All of these responses have one thing in common. They're trying to manipulate you into breaking your silence and giving them the attention they crave. Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." Your silence ends their ability to control your responses and begins their journey of dealing with your independence, something they clearly struggled with during the relationship. The beautiful thing is that you don't have to engage with any of these manipulation tactics. You can simply observe them, recognize the patterns that probably contributed to your breakup, and feel confident in your decision to maintain your boundaries. Your silence becomes a gift to yourself. It shows you exactly why the relationship needed to end and confirms that staying broken up is the right choice. It also saves you from getting pulled back into the drama, the explanations, the emotional labor that probably exhausted you during the relationship. When someone shows you who they are through their reaction to your boundaries, believe them. and thank your silence for revealing the truth so clearly. Number 7. Building unshakable confidence through boundaries. Every time you choose not to respond immediately to your ex's text, you're doing something powerful. You're proving to yourself that you can stick to your boundaries even when it's uncomfortable. This builds a kind of confidence that can't be shaken by other people's reactions or demands. During the relationship, how many times did you compromise your boundaries to avoid conflict? How often did you respond to their texts immediately, even when you were busy or didn't feel like talking, just to keep them happy? Those small compromises might have seemed harmless at the time, but they were actually training you to believe that other people's comfort mattered more than your own needs and preferences. Your silence reverses that training. When you don't respond to their text and they get upset, angry, or manipulative, you're learning something crucial. You can handle other people's negative emotions without immediately trying to fix them or make them go away. This is a skill that will serve you in every relationship for the rest of your life. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your ex texting you is an outside event. Their reaction to your silence is an outside event. Your choice to maintain your boundary regardless of their reaction, that's where your real power lives. Each time you successfully maintain this boundary, you're building evidence for yourself that you are someone who keeps their word to themselves, values their own peace over other people's approval, can handle conflict without immediately backing down, respects their own needs and priorities, won't be manipulated into abandoning their values. This evidence creates unshakable confidence because it's based on your actual behavior, not on what other people think of you or how they treat you. The confidence that comes from maintaining boundaries is different from the confidence that comes from being liked or validated. It's deeper, more stable, and completely under your control. Think about it. If your confidence depends on your ex responding well to your boundaries, then they still have control over how you feel about yourself. But if your confidence comes from your ability to maintain your boundaries regardless of their response, then you're truly free. Your silence teaches you that you can survive other people's disappointment, anger, or manipulation attempts. You can sit with the discomfort of knowing someone is upset with you without immediately trying to fix it. This is incredibly liberating because so much of our stress in relationships comes from trying to manage other people's emotions to avoid conflict or disapproval. When you realize you can handle their negative reaction to your boundaries, you stop being afraid of setting boundaries in the first place. Number 8. The difference between caring and caretaking. Here's something that might surprise you. Choosing not to respond to your ex's text can actually be the most caring thing you do for both of you. There's a huge difference between caring about someone and caretaking their emotions, and understanding this difference is crucial for your healing. Caring about someone means wanting what's genuinely best for them, even if it's not what they want in the moment. Caretaking means managing their emotions to make yourself feel better or to avoid conflict. During your relationship, you probably did a lot of caretaking disguised as caring. When they were upset, you immediately tried to fix it. When they were insecure, you rushed to reassure them. When they were angry, you worked to calm them down. But this kind of emotional caretaking actually prevents people from developing their own coping skills and emotional regulation abilities. Your silence after their text is you choosing to care about their long-term growth over their immediate comfort. You're refusing to be their emotional crutch, which forces them to develop their own inner strength. Epictetus taught, "No one can hurt you without your permission." During the relationship, you probably gave them permission to hurt you into compliance many times. When they got upset about your boundaries, you abandoned the boundaries to make them feel better. Your silence withdraws that permission. When you don't respond and they spiral into anxiety, anger, or manipulation, you're not hurting them. You're simply not protecting them from the consequences of their own emotional immaturity. This distinction matters because many people will try to make you feel guilty for having boundaries. They'll tell you that your silence is cruel, that you're being cold, that someone who truly cared would respond. But someone who truly cares about you would respect your need for space after a breakup. They would understand that healing requires distance. They wouldn't try to guilt you into abandoning your boundaries for their emotional comfort. Your silence also cares for you in ways that immediate responses never could. It protects your energy from being drained by their needs. It preserves your mental space for your own healing. It prevents you from being pulled back into unhealthy dynamics. It maintains the clarity you've gained about why the relationship ended. It honors your own emotional needs instead of always prioritizing theirs. The people in your life who genuinely care about you will support your boundaries, even when those boundaries are inconvenient for them. They'll want you to prioritize your healing over their desire for connection or closure. The people who can't handle your boundaries are showing you that they were more interested in what you could do for them than in who you are as a person. Number 9, responding from choice, not obligation. If and when you do decide to respond to your ex, the most important thing is that it comes from authentic choice rather than guilt, pressure, or obligation. Your silence gives you the space to figure out what you actually want to say, not just what you think they want to hear. During the relationship, how many of your responses were automatic reactions designed to keep the peace or make them feel better? How often did you say what you thought they needed to hear instead of what you actually believed? Your silence breaks that pattern of reactive communication. When you take time before responding, whether it's hours, days, or weeks, you're giving yourself the opportunity to check in with your own feelings and motivations. You can ask yourself, do I actually want to have this conversation, or do I just feel guilty for not responding? Am I responding because I miss them, or because I'm afraid of how they'll react if I don't? What do I hope to accomplish with this response? Am I in a strong enough place emotionally to handle whatever comes next? Seneca wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." When you respond from choice rather than obligation, you're ending the pattern of reactive communication and beginning a new pattern of intentional interaction. This doesn't mean you have to respond at all. Sometimes the most authentic choice is continued silence. Sometimes protecting your peace is more important than providing them with the closure or connection they're seeking. But if you do choose to respond, make sure it's because you want to, not because you feel like you have to. Maybe your authentic response is, "I'm not ready to talk right now, but I appreciate you reaching out." Maybe it's, "I'm focusing on moving forward and don't think staying in contact is healthy for either of us." Maybe it's, "I'm doing well and hope you are too, but I don't want to revisit our relationship." All of these responses honor your truth while still being respectful. They're not mean or cruel, they're just honest about where you are and what you're available for. The key is that whatever you say comes from your authentic feelings and needs, not from trying to manage their emotions or avoid conflict. When you respond from this centered place, you're modeling healthy communication. You're showing them what it looks like to speak your truth without being defensive or cruel. Some people will respect this kind of authentic communication. Others will push back, trying to argue with your boundaries or convince you to change your mind. Their reaction to your authentic response will tell you everything you need to know about whether there's someone worth having any kind of relationship with in the future. Number 10. Your silence is your power. Hold it wisely. After everything we've discussed, here's the most important thing to understand. Your silence after their text isn't about punishment, revenge, or playing games. It's about recognizing that you have the fundamental right to choose when, how, and if you engage with people from your past. Your silence is powerful because it represents your autonomy. It says, "I am a whole person with my own life, priorities, and emotional needs. I don't exist to manage your feelings or provide you with the closure you think you need." This power has been yours all along, but you probably forgot about it during the relationship. When someone becomes important to us, we often start treating their needs as more urgent than our own. We respond immediately to their texts because we don't want them to feel ignored. We explain ourselves constantly because we don't want them to misunderstand us. But breakups restore your right to prioritize yourself. Your ex no longer has automatic access to your time, energy, or emotional labor. They have to earn it, just like anyone else in your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." Your present reality is that you're no longer in a relationship with this person. You don't owe them immediate responses, detailed explanations, or emotional availability just because you used to love them. Your silence honors this new reality. It maintains the boundary that the breakup created and protects your healing process from unnecessary interruption. But here's the crucial part. Use this power wisely. Your silence should serve your healing and well-being, not your ego or your desire for revenge. Healthy silence comes from self-respect and boundary setting. Toxic silence comes from wanting to hurt them or make them suffer. The motivation behind your silence matters because it affects how it impacts you mentally and emotionally. When your silence comes from a healthy place, it feels peaceful. You're not constantly thinking about them or imagining their reaction. You're simply living your life and focusing on your own growth. When silence comes from a toxic place, it feels obsessive. You're still mentally engaged with them, wondering if they're suffering, hoping they're learning their lesson, fantasizing about them, begging for your attention. The healthiest use of your silence is as a tool for creating space for your own healing. It's not about them at all. It's about you having the mental and emotional room you need to process the relationship, learn from it, and move forward. Some exes will respect your silence and leave you alone to heal. Others will escalate their attempts to get your attention. Neither response should change your commitment to your own boundaries and well-being. Your silence teaches you something invaluable. You are complete on your own. You don't need their validation, their apology, their explanation, or their closure to be okay. You can create your own sense of completion and peace. This is the ultimate power, not needing anything from them to feel whole.